Hello, and how you doing? And welcome back to another episode of Two Jagoffs. I am Austin Carnes, and in today's episode of Two Jagoffs, we are bringing you guys yet another interview. But before we get into that, I would like to shout out a couple of things real quick. Thank you all so much for tuning into our promo this past Thursday. It did really well. Record numbers actually on both TikTok and Instagram. We truly appreciate that. Same thing with Lucas Carries. It was our most viewed episode of the year so far. So thank you all so much again for that continued support. We truly appreciate it. With that all being said, though, I'm joined with a very special guest this week. He is a fellow Point Park University student for the Sports Comm Club. He's part of UView. He's called many games like myself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Matt Palange. Matt, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you, Austin. So happy to be here. So happy to share my story with you guys, and just excited to have some fun and talk some sports.
Absolutely. We love talking sports. We're going to do a lot of that today, but I want to talk about you first. I mean, you are a sports comm major like myself. You're also minoring in broadcast production, but something I found interesting, you're actually not even from Pittsburgh. You're from Parma, Ohio, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a suburban area south of Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken?
It's a very big suburban area right outside of Cleveland. It's cool, I guess. It was fun growing up there, but I feel like I needed a change, and just Point Park had a good little sports comm program that I was excited to switch over to.
So was there like a different decision that made you choose Point Park? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Ohio has so many universities out there, and PA does as well. What made you choose Point Park out of all those? My story's a little bit interesting about why I came to Point Park. Honestly, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was in like a dental program in high school. I was doing like I was trying to find like maybe music programs because I was a big choir guy, big choir kid, big music guy. But eventually I just kind of applied to a bunch of schools, and then Bernie Ankney, who is the Dean of Communications at the university, reached out to me. He was reaching out to a lot of comm applicants, school comm applicants, and he told me about the sports comm program. And I was like, dude, I love sports. I love talking about sports, and I'm going to see where it can take me. And it's a decision that I also just made to like kind of reset my life a little bit, kind of go somewhere new and just experience a different life. And I'm very happy with it. I don't regret doing it at all. That's awesome. That's an amazing story. And I actually have a story for you as well before we get into like the questions and everything. My first impression of you, I remember it was Roger Lenhart's class last semester. I transferred in from CCAC. I did my first 2 years there, got an associate's degree. Then I came to Point Park to do sports comm. It was my plan ever since high school.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in that class. I was kind of looking around. I'm like, oh man, they put all of us in this small ass room. I don't exactly know what's going on. Roger was amazing. Roger wasn't even there the first day.
Yeah.
He didn't come until the next week. And Roger was amazing. I absolutely loved that class.
Yeah.
And I really didn't get to know anybody too well until like my third and fourth week. And there was this seminar that was being held. It was at the Student Center with Natalia. And I didn't exactly know what to expect there. Natalia just told me to show up because I can network. And I was like, okay, why not? Mm-hmm. And I remember I was speaking with Mike Fetchko, of all people. And I went up to him, I shook my hand. And before I could even introduce myself, you came out of nowhere. You put your arm around me and you said, this guy right here is the nicest guy you're going to ever meet. Yeah. Definitely get his contact info. Definitely stay in touch with him. And I truly appreciate that. I never got to tell you that, so I wanted to tell you that here on the podcast.
I appreciate that as well. I mean, just trying, I feel like one thing about the university is like, we're in a similar position. It's like trying to help out others, because I did a lot of work for myself, and it's just like trying to get you connections, get other people connections, especially with you being new, you transferring from CCAC. It was like, leave a good word in and see how many people I can help before I like graduate. And I meant it. I genuinely still mean that to this day. So
absolutely, man. That really did mean the world to me. And I'll tell you what, that opportunity actually brought me several opportunities since then. So I really do appreciate that. Of course. And I feel like that talks about the culture here at Point Park. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to come here as well. Like, Point Park University does such a good job at accepting so many different people from so many different backgrounds, so many different majors as well. Like, you can pretty much have free reign of what you want to do with your career here. Not to mention it's in the Steel City, so unlimited potential for networking as well.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like, you can reach out to so many different people, meet so many. I mean, think about it. If we didn't come to this university, like, we would have never met Roger Lenhart, who is like an extraordinary background of producing shows. He got me a job he got me a paid gig. Like, everything happens for a reason. And I always think about it like producing UView or whatever. Like, that stuff wouldn't have happened if I went anywhere else. So.
Absolutely. And speaking of UView, let's talk about that for a second. So UView, for people who don't know what it is out there, it is pretty much Point Park's television station on YouTube. And they have a bunch of different shows. They have Newsnight, where it's pretty much like their local news station. There's Late Night Snooze, which is like their SNL, and then Sideline, which is like our ESPN type show. And you're one of the main guys behind Sideline. Do you think you can talk about a little bit about your experience doing Sideline and working with UView? Yeah,
I'd love to. So UView, as you said, is a student-ran television station. It's produced, uploaded, programmed, all by students. We have a couple advisors in the school comm that oversee UView, but for the most part, it's ran by students. I'm one of the producers of Pioneer Sideline. It's me, Jake Bell, and Bryn Reese. So 2 other sports communication students. I started when I was a freshman. I was looking at like interests, and I was just checking my email out. That's one big tip I'm gonna say now. I might mention it later. Check your emails when you come to a new university, because they do mass emails like join this club. And I saw UView and I was like, oh, it's like a student-ran television station. I'm gonna go to the interest meeting, see what happens. And I was like, oh, there's a sports show. Like, that's amazing. So I joined that, and I just stayed kind of consistent, like going every single week, reporting, and then being willing to go behind the scenes. And I was always reliable. And Joey Bovo and Jacob Kubik were the producers at the time. Natalia was the host, and they noticed that I was just consistently being there. So I won Sideline MVP. We do like a fun little award show. I won that freshman year, which was just like a cool little award to have. And then I stayed on it. And then once they graduated last year, and they told me they wanted me to be a producer, and it was kind of a really cool achievement to like know that like all the hard work that I put in towards Sideline got me a big position, and you really learn a lot from it. And it's cool to be able to report. You get like such real world experience from UView and other clubs too, which I'm sure we'll get into. But you get like real life news experience, especially with producing, like putting the rundown together, communicating with the group chat, and organizing the show, and then going on and reporting sometimes, hosting sometimes. Like, that's true real world experience that you're gonna get, and it really does prepare you for like working in a news station in the future.
Indeed, it does, because for the longest time, speaking with more of my career as well, I mean, I've always been behind a microphone, behind the scenes kind of guy. Never really had the chance to be on camera, because I went to a really small school, Carlington. I'm actually representing them today. But I went there, and there was really no on-camera experience you could do there. And then at CCAC, it's community college. There's really nothing there either. So once I got to Point Park, my first on-camera was actually the first episode of Sideline I did, which is when you asked me to do case. I think it was a Penguins case, debating Mike Sullivan. And that was my first time ever on camera. And I'll be honest, I was really nervous my first time ever. I was sweating in my suit. And being able to see like how you can grow into it, I think that's such a cool experience, and UView does such a good job with it as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing about nerves is like that stuff. I still get nervous every time I'm on camera, and I've been on camera like 30 times now for UView, and it's like that's why I don't even think I was there for that show, because I was at Robert Morris calling the women's basketball game at RMU, but you came back on another show, and it seemed like you were fine there. Even if you were nervous, I couldn't tell, because at the end of the day, like, you just have to go up and do it, and you're at a school. It's not like, it's okay to be nervous here, because you get all the nerves out before you graduate and before you get a real world job. So like that's totally normal.
I feel like something we should add on to that as well is something with Point Park that I love is that everyone, especially in our major, is so supportive and so friendly with it. Like, I remember my first time coming to Sideline, I'm like, I don't know who the hell any of these people are. Right. I recognized a couple from in the hall, but I didn't know anybody. Mm-hmm. I could be honest with you, every single person there, it's just nice to have good conversations with. Yeah. They all come from different backgrounds, different hometowns. And it's, like you said earlier, it's a fresh start being able to come to Point Park. This is a nice fresh start for me as well, because I didn't know a damn soul here. And being able to interact with these people and being able to just have like great conversations, sometimes about sports, sometimes about life. Like, I feel like that's what really sets in the ease a little bit more to go on camera later on, rather than just go on not knowing anything, feeling rushed, feeling overstimulated. It's a really cool experience here.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That's how I am as well. As like, I reported the very first UView show that I was ever a part of. I actually reported national. We used to have. So I never knew what to do. I just kind of wrote a script. I watched an old one and kind of just like wrote about, I think it was MLB, the World Cup, and something else that I had to report on.
Oh boy.
And it was a lot of information. It was a long script, and I look back at it, I'm like, dude, like, I've grown a lot since then, but just it's you talk about how it's like a fresh start, and that's kind of what I wanted, and I guess I got lucky, and that's kind of how things are going now. Just everything's fresh, and now it's all like natural, and it feels like I'm in a good spot for my career just based off being here.
Of course. What would you say UView has done per se best to help you prepare for your career? Because you were mentioning some of those experiences. Is there one that stands out the most, or maybe a moment that stood out most to you during your time at UView?
I would say it's like leadership, and like I guess communication will be the big thing. Like communicating, working with a group, like working with team. In our field specifically, like you're always working with the team. Even if you're like a commentator radio, you still have to communicate with directors, communicate with whoever is creating, whoever's the producer producing the show. So I feel like that's one good thing is like I was able to always communicate with former producers. Now I'm the one communicating. To put that in better words, it's being able to play a specific role. Sometimes you're the person leading the group, like how I am now at Sideline, but I used to be the one following the group, like just talking, giving like my input, or just doing whatever I had to do, versus now like being the person that's in charge. So being able to play a specific role and being able to adapt to whatever role you have to play, I feel like is one of the biggest experiences with UView that I've gotten.
Of course. Let's transition over to the Sports Comm Club for a second as well. We're both a part of the Sports Comm Club. Many opportunities come from it. Calling games, working games, camera op, you name it. There's so many different things you can do within that field. And I think when I speak for both of us, we lean more towards the play-by-play side of things.
Yeah.
That's kind of our cup of tea. Tell me about your experiences doing Sports Comm Club over the last couple of years.
I started as a freshman during basketball season. I kind of just reached out and was like, hey, like Kevin Taylor was the SID at the time. And I was like, hey, like I've been wanting to do the Sports Comm Club. I just don't know how to do it yet. So I reached out to him and he kind of told me he's like, hey, show up to the game today. He threw me on color commentary because all the camera positions were filled. And it was my first time. I'm sure it was not good. Honestly, I'm sure it was bad. But you know, I just kept showing up, and then I ended up working the high hero cam, which is like you are tight on the game, and then the hero shots. It was camera 2 at the time, and I just did that for the whole late season and the playoffs. So I got camera experience there, and then just by showing up consistently, and then going to baseball, softball, and then the next year, I got voted as a secretary, so I had to stay as consistent as possible, and then eventually. The other play-by-play guys, they were letting me get involved with calling games, and I just kind of stuck with that. And now I'm able to do that here, be consistently calling games, specifically basketball and soccer is what I called mostly. But yeah, that's kind of it. Just like, again, reaching out to one person and then just putting that mental note in your head, like I should keep showing up and I should keep doing it. And that's kind of what I did. And it ended up working out pretty good, I think, so far.
Of course, and this is without taking shots at anybody that's in our field as well. Something that I notice a lot of people don't do, which just kind of surprises me, is they're not willing to reach out. They're not willing to ask for help or ask for that next step. And the thing is with our field, like Robbie and Smikowski said it best, he was on the show recently, they're willing to pay it forward to the next generation, our generation. And if you just take that initiative to reach out and ask for a lending hand or even ask for some advice, they're willing to give it to you. They're willing to show up and do anything for you. And I mean, we've had several guests on this show as well, and it's just from us saying, hey, we're interested in having you. We would love to have a conversation. Do you mind joining us? And 95% of the time, they're like, yeah, let's do it.
No, I'm absolutely willing to take shots at people. Like, it's no one specific, but I will be the first to tell you that I think that people think that you could just go get a sports communications degree and then you'll end up as an on-air commentator. That is almost very unlikely the case. I wouldn't say taking shots. I would say giving advice. Like, reaching out to people is like one of the biggest things. Like, even if it's something small, like reaching out to a club president, club vice president, whatever, and just getting their hands dirty, like working a camera or whatever, people are very unwilling to do that. And almost, it's not just our field at all though, but our field specifically is about making connections and reaching out to people. So again, it's not a shot at anyone specific, but I'm willing to say that people do need to do that more often. And that is one thing that I've taken pride in, is that I reach out to people and I give that advice to almost anyone, is that if you come to this university, you go to any university ever, you have to be willing to do the extracurricular stuff, and you have to be willing to reach out to organizations, clubs, whoever at the university that can get you an internship, that can get you connections. So I am willing to say, I 100% agree with you on that, that if you aren't willing to do that, you are kind of in for bad luck.
Yeah, you're out of luck pretty much. You're out of luck. And the thing is, too, like, if you don't have a LinkedIn and you're at least like, even if you're not setting up something, like grab a coffee with someone, have a conversation, get on a Zoom or a Teams meeting, meet up with them somewhere else. Like, most people are willing to drive in or meet you halfway. Like, I went and grabbed coffee with Greg Brown a couple weeks ago, and it was just because I asked. I said, hey, I would like to ask you some questions. I'm going to be calling a baseball game in a couple weeks. I would love to get some advice from you. And he's like, yeah, of course, let's do it. Hour-long conversation later. And it's, again, just because I reached out. If I didn't reach out to him, he's not going to say anything. He doesn't care. I'm just a student at Point Park University. But that's really what puts some people, like, within our school over the top, like, compared to others. And it's just a shame. It really is a shame.
No, I agree 100%. Like, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's like, don't be lazy, go do it. And you kind of said, like, just reaching out to someone. The way that I put it is, like, bothering people in this industry is, like, actually fine. Like, if someone's genuinely annoyed by you, then, like, just stop talking to them. But reach out to like, they say, oh, I can't do that this Friday, be like, hey, like, let's, and then reach out to them like a couple days later, being like, hey, like, can we reschedule it to this day? Hey, can we reschedule it to this day? Like, you know, like, bothering people might be a little too harsh, but like getting a hold of people and consistently staying with them is that important in this industry.
It 100% is. It 100% is. And being able to reach out and get those opportunities from people could bring you some opportunities. And I want to talk about an opportunity that you had recently. You recently worked the MEC tournament down in Wheeling. Talk a little bit about that experience.
So that's an experience that I got from our sports broadcasting professor, Roger Lenhart. He came onto the UView show before. He helped us out with that, and he gave us some tips and tricks, but he also got interviewed on that show. But yeah, anyways, he reached out to me and Bryn saying, hey, I trust you guys, and there's some camera operating positions open in Wheeling, West Virginia. Bryn has her car down here, so me and her both did the little interview with Dan Lohman. He was the associate producer, I think, for the tournament, for the broadcasts, and he reached out to me and Bryn, gave us a phone call interview, and he took us in, and we ended up getting there late at night. I believe it was a Wednesday night we got there, and we had to wake up at like 6 a.m. on the following Thursday to set up the cameras and everything. And it kind of all hits you like, the one thing about it is, and I'll go more into the actual work, but like it kind of all struck me like the first time I ever built a tripod and put a camera on it, like from the Sports Comm Club, that all like hit me and was like, wow, like this is why I did that, this is why I learned that. But anyways, so we set up the cameras. There was 4 cameras, I believe. There was a high home, high hero, or tight hero, and then 2 slashes, and then we had a wireless camera as well. So yeah, 5 cameras, and I was on the tight camera which is camera 2. It's next to the high home. You're just zoomed in on the action, and then you get hero shots if you have to. Get substitutions in and out. And then I was on a slash camera, which is behind the backboard to the side a little bit, like at a diagonal angle, which you get a lot of hero shots there. And then behind the players or in front of the players, whatever you have to do there. And then I was also on Scorebug, which was really cool that they told us to do. They asked if we want to do Scorebug for games. You just update the score. Well, the score updates by itself. You just update the graphics and the colors and the team who's playing, and then you put in you have to put in the own score. The time was automatic. You had to put in the score, update the score, and then run ads via the drive that was on the Scorebug. So you had to do that as well. So I got to do more than just running a camera, which is really cool. But yeah, that's kind of what I did. And then obviously you had to take down, striking is what it's called, at the end of a tournament or at the end of the event. You have to wrap up all the cables, under all the cables, and then put the cameras away, put them back in these bins, and there's a lot of stuff to strike at the end of a game. But yeah, that's pretty much what we had to do. It was it's kind of a surreal moment that you get like a paid gig from being here. So I really appreciated that, and it was actually a lot of fun. But it was long days. We worked 16 games in 4 days, which was very long. Yeah, the first day was 7 a.m. to like 9 p.m. Which is ridiculous.
Now, did you travel back each day, or did you stay in West Virginia all 4 days?
We got a hotel. We each had our own rooms. Me and Bryn had our own rooms each. So that was cool. Bryn was I'm very appreciative of her. She drove us out there, drove us to the arena was like 10 minutes away, so we didn't have really any problems because she had her car down there.
That's sick. Now, what would you say, I guess, like out of all the experiences that you had down there, you did Scorebug, you did Cam, was there one that stood out to you the most, or was there something that maybe stumped you a little bit that like it was your first time ever doing? Because you mentioned Point Park prepares you so much for that stuff, and I fully agree with you just by doing a couple of games myself here. Was there something different that you had to learn or kind of adapt on the fly?
I think the hardest thing to do was for sure like the cameras are different and the tripods are different, so you have to kind of like learn. And we had someone show us, Joe Webb was his name, shout out Joe. He showed us how to set up the cameras and take them down, so that was cool. But striking like the cameras was really different because you have to like track the whole cord to where it is, and you have to under these really, really long cables, and sometimes you don't know if it's even your cable to begin with. So that I was really watching people, like staring at other people do it, so I could see like how to learn. And that was one cool thing about the experience, is that asking questions was fine. Another thing you should do in this industry, ask questions, because everyone's going to be like, hey, like this is how you do it. So that was a little, I guess setting up and taking down was the hardest part for sure.
Now, you've talked about a lot of your experiences here within Point Park, outside of Point Park. Overall, over the last 3 years that you've been here, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
What would you say is the moment that stood out to you the most, maybe your best experience so far, something that you can look back on maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the line and say, I'm so glad I did that?
I would say there's 2. It's probably every day producing sideline. I think producing sideline has definitely been the biggest thing. I look at like the first day I reported and all that stuff, but I would say also calling the Robert Morris game via radio, or the year before that I traveled with the women's team to their playoff games in Indiana, and got to just like kind of experience like what it's like traveling to do radio commentary for a specific team, like how you travel with them and you get that type of experience. I would say that those for sure are the biggest ones for me that I will look back at in 30 years and be like, yeah, I remember that.
Those are awesome experiences. I remember I got to do the Youngstown State game last November.
Yeah.
That was just so cool being able to travel with the team, travel with on the shuttle. And I don't know. I just feel like traveling is like something I've always wanted to do my entire life. And the big thing with our career too is you got to be willing to risk holidays. You got to be willing to risk birthdays, important dates. And I'm one of those people. I'm all in for it.
Yeah.
I have to miss Christmas 3 years in a row. I guess we're missing Christmas 3 years in a row. We got to get into the career somehow. I want to talk about some other sports though with you for a second. So you're all Cleveland.
Yeah.
Except for the Browns.
Yeah.
You're a Cowboys fan.
I do like the Browns, but yeah, I am
a
main Cowboys fan.
Why the Cowboys?
So I just followed my dad's teams. That's all it was. I'm sure he was a bandwagon Cowboys fan. I'm okay to admit that. I'm very confident that he became a Cowboys fan after they won 3 in the 70s. But what do I know? I just had to follow those teams, and eventually, the story between me favoriting the Cowboys and the Browns was Madden 12. Me and my brother used to play Madden 12. We were both terrible, but we were young, and he would pick the Browns, and I would pick the Cowboys. So I would stick with the Cowboys, and I always leaned a preference towards them. And I also, recently, I kind of fell more out of the Browns because of Deshaun Watson. I thought he was a monster, a terrible person, and I don't like what he did, and the Browns paid him $230 million. I was like, this is disgusting. And I'm so happy it didn't work out for them because I was saying that it wasn't, and I was being called an idiot, being called stupid, like, oh, we just got an absolute superstar. This risk is going to pay off. The Browns are so smart. They just got the steal of the century with Deshaun Watson. I was like, no, they actually just got robbed, and I'm so happy it didn't work out for them. The Cowboys are a mess too, but I kind of just stuck with them more. And then once also Ezekiel Elliott, Cowboys won a national championship with Ohio State, big Ohio State guy.
Okay.
So he got drafted to Dallas 4th overall. So that made me like the Cowboys even more than the Browns because that was my favorite player in college.
That's fair. And now when you look at the Browns, they got what? Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco
today,
earlier. Yeah, and Deshaun Watson. That quarterback room's a mess. When is it not a mess? It feels like it's a different starting quarterback every year.
It is. That's the sad truth. Is it is basically starting quarterback every year. I guess Deshaun Watson was the day one starter, and then then it was DTR and then whatever. Oh, that team is such a mess. I think they're probably gonna go draft somebody. I mean, they're probably gonna go draft like Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, and then rock with, I don't know, Watson or Pickett. I don't know what they're going to do. They're probably going to have their fans, and their fan base is actually way worse than I thought. Like growing up around them, I didn't realize that they were that delusional. Like their team's really bad every year, and we're always bad. The Browns are always bad, and they just swear that their team's better than they are, which I don't understand how.
I mean, Steelers fans aren't much better.
Yeah. Oh no. being around both, I think Steelers fans are worse. Sorry. I think that they're very content with going 10-7 and losing first round of the playoffs, which I don't think is a good thing to be content with, but.
I mean, you're talking to a Cardinals fan, and that's about as rare as a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So I fully agree with you there. But the thing with the Steelers fans, that's actually one of the main reasons why I'm not a Steelers fan, because my dad is actually a Chiefs fan. He's been a Chiefs fan his entire life. So I couldn't stand the Chiefs because I couldn't stand him screaming at the TV all the time. And I couldn't stand the Steelers just because the rest of my family are Steelers fans, and they're all annoying. And I thought the Steelers were annoying. So I became a Cardinals fan because of Larry Fitzgerald, but that's besides the point. With you at the Cowboys, though, when we look at the team going in the next year, I mean, they're in a loaded division right now. We look at the NFC East. They got the Washington Commanders, who has a sophomore quarterback who did something that no rookie has ever done last year by going to the NFC Championship. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, who finally took down the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And then, of course, the New York Giants, who is the Giants. Yeah. What's your opinion on the Cowboys going in the next year? What's your expectation?
Slightly scared because, honestly, I'll be the first to tell you, they had a really good offseason. Offseason is a very rough time for Dallas because they normally just fire back with the same team every year, and you just have to hope that, the result's going to be different, which it never is. You're either going to barely miss the playoffs, or you're going to go 12-5 and lose first round, or maybe second round. I mean, I know we beat Brady that one year, 2021, and got to the second round, but other than that, it's like we just run it back with the same team. This year they had a really good offseason, signed Dante Fowler, who had I believe around 13.5 sacks for the Commanders last year. Got Jack Sanborn from the Bears. There was a bunch of guys we traded for, linebackers, defensive help. Got Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders as running backs to help out with that rough running back core. So, honestly, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to make the playoffs as long as they had a lot of injury issues last year. But I think if they stay healthy, Dak stays healthy, that they're going to probably make the playoffs. In that division specifically, there's never been a repeat winner since 1999, I think. And The Eagles probably won't win the division just because of that curse. No, I don't think the Eagles will win only because the repeat winner curse. They also had a really bad offseason. Look, like they lost all their defensive guys, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. They lost a lot of guys. So I think they're probably going to I think there's going to be 3 12-5 teams, maybe like 1 13-4 team. I don't know who's going to win the division. It's up in the air. There's never a repeat winner. I guess the Eagles could win, but there's never a repeat winner, so I don't know. I think the Cowboys will probably lose first round or second round, though. If you want, to be honest.
That's fair. I mean, when we look at the NFC East, I mean, it's always up and down every single year. But the reason why I don't know if I'm so confident on them making the playoffs again, going in the next year, is because I look at the rest of the NFC. I mean, when you look at the North, you can make an argument all 4 of those teams are playoff contending teams as well. The Bears have gotten better. The Lions are still good. The Vikings, although they lost Sam Darnold, still got the best wide receiver in the NFL. You can't ignore Green Bay and their young talent. The NFC West is loaded with talent. So I don't know. The NFC, to me, is just such a loaded conference that I don't know if the Cowboys are going to be able to equate to that. And something that I've always been wondering, and I'm going to get this from a Cowboys fan real quick, is Dak the answer? Is Dak the guy that they should be rallying behind?
I think there's management issues that go beyond Dak. I would love if the Cowboys win a ring soon. I would love for it to be Dak because the amount of people he would prove wrong. I think he's a good quarterback. His playoff issues. The thing is when you look at it, they gave up 48 points to the Packers. They gave up 31 points with the Jared Cook toe drag in 2016 when they were the 1 seed. He's not great, but there's not many great quarterbacks in the playoffs anyways. I don't know if he's the answer. I think that there's a lot of things. I think Jerry Jones is the biggest problem in Dallas.
Okay.
So I don't know. Unfortunately, Dak had an MVP runner-up season 2 years ago, so that's what got the Cowboys even more confident on him. I wish that season either didn't happen or because it gave them so much hype on him. I can't tell if he's the answer. I think the Cowboys are just cursed at this point. I don't know. I don't think he's the answer for a ring. But I think he is a better quarterback than people give him credit for.
Absolutely. I would still argue he's right there in a top 10 conversation.
I agree.
For active NFL quarterbacks right now. My biggest thing with Dak Prescott is it feels like every other year he gets hurt as well. It feels like 1 year he's playing great football. The next year an injury derails him, or maybe injuries to the offensive line kind of stops their momentum that they have. Not to mention they didn't have really a running back room last year. Rico Dowdle was their starting running back.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Dowdle at all, but my goodness, comparing that to Saquon Barkley, who's in the same division as you, that's awful. And I will say this, the Cowboys do got stars. CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. There is talent on this team.
No, I 100% agree. I think that the 3 biggest things to help a quarterback get better is run play action, block well, and run well. When Dak was healthy, they were bottom 3 in all of those. So I can't blame Dak for last season except his injuries. He has to stay on the field. He has to stay on the field, especially because that was the year that he got paid big money. He got paid big money right before the Browns game last year. The Cowboys beating the Browns was an incredible feeling for me, being from Cleveland, and the Cowboys winning that game. But it's so rough to see a quarterback get paid so much money after one. He's had good seasons, but after one phenomenal season, they pay him big money, and then he goes and gets hurt. It's he has to stay healthy, and if he doesn't, you're not going to win with a Cooper Rush. I know people try to say Cooper Rush is better than Dak. I think that's one of the most brain dead takes I've ever heard. I hear it every single year, but it sucks to be a Cowboys fan. Honestly, I'll be the first to tell you that.
Oh, you're telling a Cardinals fan that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the Cardinals have a good chance to win the division. I think the Seahawks fell off bad. The Niners probably had the worst offseason of any team in the NFL. And who's the other team? The Rams. I think the Rams will probably win the division. Now that I look back at it, but I think the Cardinals have a good chance to compete. I mean, I don't know if you're going to make it in as a wild card, but you would have to definitely win that division.
I mean, we were just like the Cowboys last year. Both teams were 7-10. So, I mean, they were right there on the cuff of possibly being a team that could make some noise end of the year and squeeze in. But the Cardinals, they have a whole plethora of their own issues. That could be an entire episode in itself. But I do want to ask you one last question about the Cowboys before we move into some of your other favorite teams. Mike McCarthy. A lot of people believe he was the problem for the longest time. He's now no longer going to be coaching this team. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, he went from both the years that we missed the playoffs, we had no Dak Prescott for almost the whole season. He went 12-5 3 straight years, eliminated Tom Brady's career, won a playoff game. And I know that Bucs team wasn't that good, but we were being picked to lose that game by a lot of people. So the hypocrisy is a little crazy there. But Mike McCarthy went 12-5 3 straight years, only resulted in one playoff win. He was also a crazy big choke artist in Green Bay. They were elite every year. Aaron Rodgers was always elite, and then come playoff time, Aaron Rodgers plays bad. If it wasn't for that one run, we might be calling Aaron Rodgers the biggest choke artist of all time. If it wasn't for that run where they beat the Steelers, in the big game. But I would say McCarthy was an issue. I don't know if he was the person we should have fired. I kind of more upset that we hired Schottenheimer because he was just like the easy guy to hire, and he called it. This dude Jerry Jones is calling this the most coveted position in football, like, and then goes and hires his offensive coordinator, who we didn't even trust to call plays. But I actually like the coaching staff, but McCarthy, I'm okay with making changes if that makes sense. Like, I think that's the positive takeaway is I'm okay with making changes, but I don't know if McCarthy was the biggest issue that we should have addressed.
Of course, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Jason Garrett, for the longest time with the Cowboys, I mean, that team was also a mess, but they had some moments as well.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy, they had their moments, but for the most part, it was also a train wreck. To me, watching the Cowboys, it felt like players rallied behind Garrett more than they did McCarthy. It felt like they trusted Garrett's play calling slightly more than McCarthy. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree. We went 13-3. Dak and Zeke's first season, we went 13-3, and Jason Garrett won the Coach of the Year award. I feel like you don't just give that award out to anyone. Like, there was a reason, developing two rookies, like your two best players were rookies. One offensive rookie of the year, Dak did. And I think I was more behind Jason Garrett at the time as well because McCarthy has a terrible playoff history. But Jason Garrett didn't do anything for us anyways. It's like that's what I'm saying. Like, there's such a bad management issue with why I don't blame like coaches in Dallas, because I feel like they're forced to just run with the same team every year. And but I do agree with you. I do think Jason Garrett was a little bit more like, I feel like fans and players were more behind Jason Garrett. And then they hired McCarthy and everyone loved it at the time. But I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what I talk about when I talk about the Cowboys all the time on the podcast. It's just Jerry's world, and we're all living it.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right.
Unfortunately, we're living in Jerry's world. Let's talk about some of your other teams that you're a fan of. You're also a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and my goodness, what a season they're having. First in the East. Yeah,
Kenny Atkins is the Coach of the Year. He turned that team around. The Cavs basically completed a rebuild that they've been working on. They were I believe the 13th seed in 2019. It was the first year without LeBron. They were absolutely terrible. Drafted Darius Garland, made a big trade for Donovan Mitchell. And then they made a 4 seed, lost in the first round to the Knicks. Got the 4 seed last year, went to 7 against the Magic, won, and lost to future champs, the Boston Celtics, in the second round, which is okay. But they completed this rebuild. They cemented themselves as an elite team. I think that they're a very streaky team, and they've shown that they're beatable. They lost 4 straight at the second half of the season. But the Cleveland Cavaliers are the best team in the Eastern Conference, and I'm very excited to continue watching them play. I get to make content about them now, which is really, really cool.
Oh, that's sweet. What kind of content do you do?
There's a YouTube channel that they have individual teams. It's called Digest Media. They have like Cavs Digest, Thunder Digest. Their biggest channel is the Raptors Digest. That's where they originated from, but they branched off into other things. And I just recently got hired to be Cavs Digest.
Oh, that's sweet. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So I get to, talk about them a little bit more. So go check that out. I'm going to make some YouTube content soon. But I'm really excited to watch this team in the playoffs. I really hope they don't disappoint me because I know that they're a beatable team. But I'm tired of people saying on social media that they have no chance against Boston. That is so terrible. That's all I've heard all year long. I think the Cavs can genuinely win the finals this year.
You genuinely think so?
Absolutely.
That was kind of transitioning into my next point I wanted to ask you. Do you believe they can make a run at the championship this year with teams like Boston and Indianapolis all standing in the way?
The East is easier to win than the West. I mean, you don't have to go through the two best players in the world, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jokic in the West. LeBron James, who's the greatest player of all time, who you have.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I know that's a little controversial, but in my opinion, he is. And then Luka Doncic is on that Lakers team. You got to go through the Grizzlies. Like the East, you really only have to beat Boston. If you get there, I think their run to Eastern Conference Finals, they're going to have a couple bad games, like go to 6 games, maybe first and second round, but they just have to get through Boston Eastern Conference Finals if Boston makes it there. And if Boston doesn't make it there, the Cavs will win because they have bench depth. Ty Jerome is in the 6 Man of the Year conversation. DeAndre Hunter, they have this crazy good bench depth. They have good coaching. They have stars on their. Evan Mobley's going to win Defensive Player of the Year probably. Like, I genuinely believe that team not only can make a run, but can win it all this year.
No, for sure. And Mobley has most certainly been elite this year. I was very impressed with the progression of Evan Mobley. That was actually something I was going to bring up to you. And let's just say they do make the finals. You brought up the West. The West is competitive as ever. Best conference right now in basketball. Do you believe they really realistically have a shot against a team like the Thunder with SGA, a team like the Nuggets with Jokic, a team like the Lakers with LeBron?
I think the Lakers would be like an absolute classic finals, like LeBron versus old team, the young version of like that team that ended up getting better without him, like looking to win their first ever championship without LeBron and looking to make their first ever finals without LeBron. That would be great. I think they have a chance solely because they beat the Thunder this year. They didn't have Chet at the time, But they beat the Thunder this year. They killed the Lakers this year like twice. They played them twice within like a month, and they dominated them both times. So I'm not worried about the Lakers in the slightest. That was before Luka, but I'm still not worried about the Lakers. The Nuggets actually terrify me. I think the Cavs could go out and win that series, but the Nuggets have been there before. So, but I think the Cavs can beat any of those teams. I think the West will give us the toughest battle though in the playoffs for sure. Like the finals would be the toughest battle.
For sure. I would say the Nuggets definitely would give them the best run for their money. I'm one of the few people that say Jokic is better than SGA. That's where I fall.
I'm in between on that.
You're in between on that?
Yeah.
I lean more towards Jokic. I mean, he's a walking triple-double, so it's hard to debate against Jokic. But it would be an interesting finals no matter what with who the Cavs play against. But I'm not gonna lie to you, the Boston Celtics do kind of scare me a little bit. That's like the one team I could see them competing with, and I could see upsetting the Cavs. But as of right now, this is easily their conference.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Boston's scary because they've been there before. I mean, they've been in 2 finals in the last 4 years. Lost to the Warriors in 1, and then 1 last year. So obviously it's slightly intimidating. But because we've seen the Cavs, like the Cavs came back down 20-some points against them this year. They also beat them in another game. Both times that the Celtics played the Cavs, like there was 2 times that the Celtics played the Cavs where the Celtics were up by double digits and the Cavs won. That's why it's like that's what your 7-game series is going to be. It's going to be 2 teams going at each other, no teams out of any of the games, and it's going to be. I think that series now than ever will be so entertaining, and I'm really excited for it to watch it. Hopefully it happens, but I think Boston could beat us. I just don't think they will. I'm going to ride with the Cavs to make the finals.
Ride with the Cavs. Well, playoffs start next week, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah.
Something else that I've learned from coming to Point Park University was there's a lot of WWE fans here.
Yeah.
Which I was shocked because back at Carlington and even CCAC, that was something I was picked on badly for. I was loving wrestling. And you're one of the few people I was talking wrestling with recently, and I want to get your opinions. What do you think about WrestleMania this year? It's next week.
I actually hate the card.
Really?
I'll be
you
the first. I think it was lazy booking. I think that putting Rollins, Roman, and Punk was just like a lazy use of the 3 guys. I think that they could have built off into separate storylines. Instead, I think we're gonna get a triple threat just of 3 stars that just to force Punk into a main event, Mania, which he deserves. I'm very happy for him for that. But we don't have. I think we got the IC belt booked now, right? It's the Fatal 4-Way.
Fatal 4-Way, yep.
I just think every belt. I think my biggest issue is the women's mid card belts are being underutilized, and we have nothing building with any of those. The tag belts aren't on the line at Mania, I'm pretty sure, and the Street Profits have been making that belt so entertaining, like
for sure.
just interfering with DIY and then end up being DIY to like finally win the tag belts. I love the Street Profits, so happy for them. I just think that, and as much as I love Jey Uso, I'll be the first to tell you, I think he should win Yeet. Yep. I think he should beat Gunther. He's unfortunately not great in the ring. And it's very rough to see that we have like arguably the best in-ring performer that we've seen in a while with Gunther. And then we have him versus Jey Uso, which is like, I don't like this card as much. And I also, this John Cena stuff has been throwing me off for a loop. He's like he's like one of my favorite wrestlers ever. And then he became a heel, and it's like, I genuinely think that he should be the guy to beat Ric Flair's record. I feel like we could all agree on that, but I don't think it's time for Cody to give up the belt to a part-timer. I don't know. It's just weird for me, but like we know Cena deserves 17, but is it the right time for him to do it?
I don't know if it's necessarily the right time for him to do it, but something we definitely have to take into consideration for it is nobody expected the Cena heel turn to come as quick as it did. I mean, when we look at the Royal Rumble, there were so many people that were upset over the Jey Uso thing. And you got to remember, Uso was over for a year before he even won the Rumble. And so many people immediately want to turn on him. Oh, you can't do that. John Cena, he should have won this match. John Cena's, it's his retirement year, final Rumble ever. And I was one of the few people that said, just wait a minute, be patient now. They have something cooking here. Next pay-per-view, what ends up happening? Elimination Chamber, we see John Cena turn heel, join The Rock. Travis Scott was there for some reason. And then now he's facing Cody at Mania. And I will agree with you 100% on the Jey Uso point that you made. Jey Uso is not good in the ring.
Yeah,
but something that he is good at is being over with the WWE Universe. At the end of the day, WWE, it's sports entertainment, and he brings that entertainment side to the WWE perfectly. And Gunther, me and my buddy Lucas, who's co-host of 2 Jagoffs, we talk about this all the time. I think Gunther is the best in-ring wrestler of our generation.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably agree. Like, you look at someone like the greatest, even when he was like a bigger guy like Walter. Like, I don't know if you guys, if you've ever watched the NXT matches with Ilya Dragunov. My gosh! And then I look at the triple threat match versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus at Mania 2 years ago. That was one of the most entertaining matches I've ever had. Him and Sheamus used to just beat the crap out of each other, and it made wrestling feel so much like actually like fighting. Like that's what he's good at. And so I agree with you. I do think I don't know if he's the best of our generation, but he's definitely up there for sure. I mean, I would say he's top 5 easily.
In terms of in-ring, for sure, and I would even take it a step further, the ICW back in the UK, matches against Dragunov, like you mentioned, before even NXT, Zack Sabre Jr., like these were some of the like most incredible matches I've ever seen. This was back when he was Walter, and I'll tell you what, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he does over the next couple years. But there is one point that you said I kind of disagree with you on. I want to go back to it if you don't mind. The Roman Reigns triple threat match. I get what you're saying with that, but I feel like they're actually brewing something here. I mean, the main story with this match isn't necessarily Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk. The storyline here is Paul Heyman.
I agree, yeah.
Because Paul Heyman, for the longest time, he was the wise man to Roman Reigns. At one point in time, he was the advocate for CM Punk. But Seth Rollins is kind of this odd man in the middle. They're doing something here where he's going to align with Seth Rollins one way or the other. I feel like that's what we're getting out of here. But I will say this, Roman Reigns, it makes me so mad that he was thrown in this triple threat match, because you talk about a guy who went from being one of the longest reigning champions of our era, third longest of all time behind San Martino and Backlund, and now he is just in a random triple threat match against his former Shield member and one of his arch rivals in CM Punk. I feel like that is such a downgrade from last year's Mania.
Yeah, I think the last two... Actually, I have a hot take. I think that the first Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes match was like better for like in-ring like action.
I can agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was definitely better. But anyways, I think that Roman being thrown into this match is so... Just it's so I think the Paul Heyman storyline is here, and if I'm pretty sure it was the recent Raw where Seth Rollins like was like hitting like CM Punk and then like threatened Paul Heyman and said, now you owe me a favor. So I guess they're building up something with Heyman, but we really need main event like Roman Reigns back, I think. I mean, which sucks. I know people were talking about how he doesn't really wrestle, everyone just interferes with the matches, but like that's what a true heel does. And I think we need something. I think it should have been like, I think he could have stayed into the mix with Cody Rhodes, and we could have got like The Rock versus Rhodes, like or something like that, or we could have got like The Rock versus Roman. I feel like that's what we really should have gotten instead of this triple threat match, because now we have like 3 of the wrestling's biggest stars. I feel like they were just like, oh, we have 3 big stars, throw them into a match together. But I could see the Paul Heyman being like the big part of it and how it could be something more entertaining. I think the match will be great. I just think that they could have done more with these individual stars. But because the roster's so loaded, they had to find something, and that's what they found. So I get it, but
it's an unfortunate problem that they have such a loaded roster that you have to put together a random triple threat match last second. Something I talked about before too. I feel like they rushed this WrestleMania card. I feel like if they would have took more time to build, like CM Punk and Rollins, they did not have to have that match on the first Raw on Netflix. They could have easily built that for Mania. So that right there, there's your CM Punk, Seth Rollins on WrestleMania. There's one match. Roman, he still has unfinished business with Randy Orton. Why couldn't we have that as a match at Mania? Boom. There's 2 matches. There's 2 storylines you could have built for months. The Cody Cena match, I think that was perfect. I like the way it was booked. Jay and Gunther, I'm cool with that. That right there eliminates the whole top card of your roster. Now you can start working your way down. Okay, let's talk about the Braun Breakers of the world. Let's talk about the Sheamuses, the Drew McIntyres, the Pentas. Obviously, we have a lot more signings coming in now. Aleister Black might be coming back. Rusev might be coming back. So
that might be Randy Orton's opponent, Rusev. The rumors about like, because Randy Orton can't fight Kevin Owens, so they're gonna replace him with like kind of how like Cody Rhodes, like when he returned and he just fought like he was a mystery opponent for Seth Rollins. They might do that with Rusev versus Randy Orton. I would actually hate that.
I would too.
But I could see it happening, unfortunately.
What I hope they do with this storyline, I don't think they are, just because Mania is already next week, so it's a little bit too late for it now. If they had a couple weeks to build it, what they should have done was had Sami Zayn come out to the ring. Blame Randy Orton for injuring Kevin Owens in the first place, even though it had nothing to do with Randy Orton. And that leads to a Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn match. That would have made more sense storyline-wise, because you can implement Sami Zayn as a heel, sticking up for his longtime buddy, and then there's your match right there. But it's just too soon now to do that. So they're probably going to have to do something like Rusev last-minute return.
Yeah, maybe is the U.S. title on the line at Mania?
It is. LA Knight and Jacob Fatu.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Hopefully Fatu wins that, honestly.
He probably will. Yeah. I was a little surprised they didn't do Fatu in solo. I guess they're saving that for SummerSlam.
Yeah, SummerSlam is 2 nights now. I wish it was 2 nights last year because it was in Cleveland and I was going to go, but unfortunately right now we're just at a spot where there's so many stars and you just have to throw people into spots. The IC I love. That's probably my favorite match on the card.
Oh, for sure.
I'm rooting so bad for Dominic Mysterio to win.
Are you?
I want Dom to win that so bad. He's the only heel I've ever seen where he can't talk because he gets booed so loud, and he's good in the ring. Did you see that like a Canadian Destroyer he did to Penta?
I was crazy.
He's great. I love Dominic Mysterio so much. I'm hoping he wins that match.
Dom is so underrated. I remember when he debuted, it was right around the pandemic, and I was like, oh my God, this is Rey Mysterio's son. Throw him in NXT. He's not even built. Yeah. And then he's just been so impressive over the last couple of years. I mean, like you said, he can't even talk on the microphone. And I mean, the whole storyline with Rhea Ripley, now he's with Liv Morgan. I mean, it just works. Maybe he really is Eddie's son. Who knows?
Yeah, like no, he has been absolutely killing it, and I've heard him like on like Logan Paul's podcast. Like he's like the nicest guy like outside, but you can't tell because of how good he is as a heel, and that's why I think I want him to win that match so bad is because no one like he's a true heel, and there's a lot of storylines that could build off of that, like with like Finn Balor and or like old bloodline like Damian Priest trying to go for Dom's belt or whatever, and everyone hates Dominic, so there's a lot of storylines that could build off of that. But Braun Breaker's an absolute beast, so.
Oh my gosh! Did you see that spear against Carlito?
Oh, that was disgusting. That was like how I would describe if I've never seen a spear happen before. That's how I would describe it to somebody, like of what the spear is if I've never seen it happen before.
I was gonna say, screw the torpedo bats and the Yankees. That was a torpedo spear right there.
Yeah,
My
that was
goodness,
lethal.
he cut Carlito in half.
Carlito also said he would never take a spear from Braun Breaker, and that's all he's doing now. I find it so funny.
That's all he's doing. Poor Finn Balor, though, in this case. I mean, he was once a former world champ. He won the Universal title, separated his shoulder, and he hasn't won world title gold since. I'm really rooting for him in this match. But the thing is, you can honestly give it to anybody, and they're all deserving. All four of them are.
I agree. Maybe not Penta as much now.
That's fair.
Quite yet because we don't have enough development on him. He's one of those luchadors that I'm worried they're gonna like not give enough to or throw him in the tag categories like they did with like Kalisto and I mean Sin Cara was bad, so I guess Sin Cara makes sense.
He was awful.
But like all those guys, I'm really hoping they end up building something more like maybe. If Dom wins, there's so much there. And then if Braun Breaker wins, he just goes for everyone. He doesn't care. He just beats the hell out of whoever's in front of him. So he just, like, I feel like if he stays, but the reason I kind of want him to lose is because I think he's a world champ. I think that's where he's at right now. I think I could really see him, like, beating Jey Uso, like, because I know Jey Uso is going to be Gunther at Mania. And I think building something with, like, Braun and Jey Uso could be cool.
There's potential there. There most certainly is potential there. I would also say, like, if they can also do some Judgment Day storylines too if they decide to go the Dominic Mysterio route where Finn Balor feels a certain way and then maybe he has a feud with Dom, or maybe you can plug Damian Priest back into it. Unfortunately, he's on SmackDown doing his own thing with Drew McIntyre, but there's so many different directions they can take this, and with WWE now signing Rey Fenix, they might put him back with Penta and Lucha Bros like they had in AEW, so that's the cool thing about Mania. There's a lot of different storylines and results that could happen, but most of the card is pretty well, it's not booked as good as I would say. And the match that I'm actually the most disappointed in, which is the last one I want to talk about with you, is Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is supposed to be a generational match. And after that promo I saw on SmackDown, I'm not buying it.
That promo was bad. Roxanne Perez should have won the Rumble. I was rooting for her so bad in that scenario. Like, it was the same thing with the men's Rumble. Like when Jey Uso was in the Final Four, I was like, yeah, they're not gonna let Logan Paul win this, and I don't think Cena should win the Rumble because I think it's too lazy for that to be how he gets his shot at Mania. So I was rooting for him to win it. When I saw Roxanne Perez and Charlotte and Nikki Bella, I'm really happy Nikki didn't win.
Oh,
I mean,
thank the Lord.
yeah, right. And Charlotte was the obvious favorite, I think, going in. I feel like a lot of people predicted her win, but like I feel like using the Rumble, if you remember 2018 when Shinsuke won and Asuka won the Women's Rumble, using like the Rumble to build young stars that we know are so good. Like Roxanne got dominated in the Elimination Chamber. Like really, she should have won that Rumble, and they should have built something with her. Especially because I'm pretty sure her and Tiffany had something in NXT in the past. Did they not?
Yeah, they did. Tiffany was the one that defeated her.
Exactly. Like that could have been like two stories, and now you have Charlotte, who her promos have never been great in the past. She's had a couple here and there, but a lot of her good promos were because Becky Lynch was good at promos, and when they had a rivalry going on back in the day, I guess back in the day is like 6 years ago, but still, like I'm so disappointed. I do like Tiffany, I really do, and I'm happy that she has it and not Nia, but Charlotte is just not. I just don't think they're building. I think they're trying to build it, but it's just. They're just not. They don't have that swagger on the mic that I wish they had. They don't have that charisma that I wish they had. And Charlotte just returned and now is at a Mania. Is going to be a Mania fighter. So it's like it's a little disappointing.
It is, and especially when you look at the Raw Women's division and you see what Rhea, Bianca, and Io's doing. It is much more believable than what Tiffany and Charlotte's doing on SmackDown. Like, I'm fully invested in this feud now. Io has quickly gotten over with the crowd, which is awesome to see. I believe Io is one of the best in-ring competitors in terms of the women's division. Rhea Ripley has always been incredible. Bianca Belair is quite literally called the EST for a reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at Raw's women's division, comparing it to SmackDown women's, the SmackDown women's division should be on top, but then you look at the Raw women's division, and it's just banger after banger, night in and night out.
Yeah. And I actually love that they dropped a bombshell on us by letting Rhea lose to Io Sky. Like, she got distracted with Bianca. Like, giving Io Sky that belt that she lost, like, well, I guess losing to Bayley made sense now that I talk about it. Like, that all made sense. But Io Sky never really got, like, a chance. That was, like, her only real storyline that she ever got. So the fact that she's building a triple threat storyline with two of the biggest stars, she's now one of the biggest stars in the whole women's division, which is what we so desperately have wanted. I love what the Raw women's side is doing right now.
It's great to see. And back to what you said about Roxanne Perez, why the hell is she still in NXT? She should be main roster call up full time now. I don't know why she's bouncing between both.
Yeah, they're struggling with a young star, and we've seen in the past how they struggle with women's NXT stars like that. But they brought Tiffany up and made her win the Money in the Bank, gave her the belt so easily. Like, Roxanne, like, she is my 2025 favorite to win the Money in the Bank already. I know that's so early ahead, but
we're doing Money in the Bank, okay.
Yeah, they need her to win something like that. Like, that is who the star. That is who I think is a future star. I think she's good on the mic. I think she's incredible in the ring, and I think that they gave it to Charlotte. It was so lazy when Roxanne could have won that and beat Charlotte. And Roxanne was also in the ring for so long, like, for the Rumble. Like, that's how you build character. That's how you build a star. They did it with Gunther when he lost to Cody Rhodes, even though he was already the IC champion. Like, they could have done that with Roxanne, but then they had her get squashed in the Elimination Chamber, and now they have her in NXT doing whatever. Like, keep her on the main roster, have her get feud with Tiffany, have her get feud with Charlotte. Whoever wins that stupid match, like, have Roxanne be the next up, and if not, let her win the Money in the Bank.
I fully agree with you on that. And Roxanne, not even just in the women's division, just in the entire roster in general, both men and women, she is one of the few superstars that can actually play both the heel and the face role perfectly, down to a T. And not many wrestlers can do that. Not many wrestlers can adapt. Most are one-trick ponies. You're either a really good heel or a really good face.
Yeah.
She's really good at both, and she's really good in ring and really good at cutting promos.
Yeah. I'm desperately waiting for her. I mean, I think she should win the Rumble, and we're still desperately waiting for her to get that push. But I think Money in the Bank is gonna be the time. So I think we just, like, let it simmer for a little bit, and then we wait to see if she wins the Money in the Bank. 'Cause I think that's gonna be, like, the best way to make her a main event star.
Of course, if you gave me your women's Money in the Bank, I'll give you my men's. I think Carmelo Hayes should be men's Money in the Bank next year. I'm a big Melo fan.
Him.
He's him.
He's him. I love that he. I don't actually. Sorry. I hate that he's got squashed so badly. I look at the men's Money in the Bank, and I think that it's about to be time, unfortunately, to pull the trigger on Logan Paul as a main event star. I think that he is going to win the men's Money in the Bank in 2025 because he is so good for marketing. He's actually really good in the ring. Like, I know he's a social media guy, but he's phenomenal in the ring, and that new finisher is so fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
I love
it the pulverizer?
Yeah, I think it's sick. Yeah. I think they really need to just decide to let you talk about how, like, it's sports entertainment. Jey Uso is really good at that. I think Logan Paul is like the heel version of him. Like, he's so over with, like everyone wants to boo Logan Paul, and I think it's about to be time to pull the trigger on him to be a main event guy, and the Money in the Bank might be the way to do it, especially because they busted this year's with Drew McIntyre, like, and then they built that stupid feud with CM Punk. They had some good matches, but Drew McIntyre kind of got buried. I think it is about to be the time to. I think Carmelo Hayes is a good heavy favorite. I think Dom is one of those guys as well.
Dom's another one, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Logan Paul will probably win the 2025 Money in the Bank.
You know what? I'm not mad at that take at all, because Logan Paul was one of the guys that came in and I was kind of like, oh my gosh, why are you here? I was like, you're a social media guy. You should be doing Prime in your vlogs. Like, what are you doing? And then I seen his first match at Mania. It was the tag team match with Miz against the Mysterios. And I was like, okay. They might have something here. But that year, they also had 3 celebrities. They had McAfee, they had Knoxville, and they had Logan Paul all competing. So it was more of a celebrity mania. And then the following year, he has more and more matches. And then he goes up against Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia for the Undisputed Championship. And that was the match that won me over. As soon as I saw him compete in that match against Roman Reigns, I'm like, okay, this guy belongs. This guy can cut promos. This guy can work well in the ring. Not to mention, he had an injury in that match as well and still finished it against arguably the greatest of our time.
Yeah, no, I think he's really good, and it's kind of unfortunate, like, that he is so good, because, like, what you know him for is, like, this guy's like a celebrity, like, he's a social media guy, but he's really cemented himself as an absolute superstar in the ring. I genuinely believe that he is that good. And if we could separate the fact that he was a YouTuber and a controversial YouTuber sometimes, like, if we can really get past that and just accept that he's a star, I genuinely believe that he can win, like, a Money in the Bank and then build something off of it, like, just be a clown and just do whatever stupid stuff he wants with it. And then end up cashing in at like Mania or something. I feel like there's something cool that could develop with Logan Paul.
I fully agree. It was good to talk about WWE with someone finally. There's nobody.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people here that know WWE, but finally on the show, I can actually talk about WWE with someone. So
I wasn't prepared to talk about it. I'm always excited to talk about it. I grew up watching it, like from Jeff Hardy's my favorite wrestler ever. So around like the era of like 2008 and like onwards from when I was like 4 years old and growing up. I have an older brother who got me into it, and I just kept going onto it. And then eventually during like the COVID time era, I took a big break from it and started watching other sports. Yeah, I know a lot of people did. And at like around like the halfway of like the Bloodline storyline being built is when I got back into it. And I don't watch it as much as I like would like to, but I watch every pay-per-view and I still enjoy it. Obviously, like we know it's whatever, like what people say about it.
I mean, WWE, if you couldn't tell, is already one of my passions. I'm literally interning with a wrestling company right now.
And that's so good for you. Like that's so cool that you do that.
I appreciate it. And I mean, even the way like I market like this podcast and I market my promos, I mean, for goodness sakes, Lucas just hit me with a steel chair in the promo this past week. So I've always been such a big wrestling fan. And Daniel Bryan's my personal favorite of all time. I love the whole yes movement that he had, battling up against the Authority. I've been watching wrestling a lot longer, but that was like the moment that stood out to me most. And funny story, actually, 6th grade, when he first won that championship, there's like a famous picture of him on the top rope with both championships doing the yes movement, with everyone in New Orleans doing it. And I printed that picture out in the computer lab at school. I taped it to my locker, and these 2 girls were walking by, and they were like, ew, why do you have some guy in his underwear on your locker? That's gross. I'm like, that's not some guy in his underwear. That's Daniel Bryan. He's the world champion now. What are you talking about? He just defeated Randy Orton last night. And they just looked at me and they're like, gross. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gross. And from there, I did not tell anyone I was a wrestling fan again until Point Park.
I'm not like I'm not like a closet. I guess I'm kind of a closeted like WWE fan, but I'm very open to like telling people that I watch WWE because I think it's fun. And Sideline, we've had like multiple reporters. Ryan Jones was one of them. He reported on WrestleMania. Ryan Quinn did or not WrestleMania. I think the Royal Rumble, and then Ryan Quinn did something about WWE. Like we report on WWE at Sideline because it's like, again, it's sports entertainment, and it's pretty entertaining like to see the storylines and how they make like a TV show of storylines, but like they also wrestle like to build on storylines. I think it's pretty cool, and I'm proud to say that I like that yes, it's just guys in underwear, I guess, but whatever. Like people hate WWE and they hate on it, but genuinely I believe it's pretty cool to just like watch and just talk about, because it's like, it's at the end of the day, it's still like, it's like a TV show kind of, just like that we find entertaining that others might not. But I don't think Vampire Diaries is a cool show. People watch that, so like
I'm not a Star Wars fan. I don't really understand.
I like Star Wars.
You like Star Wars? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not really a Star Wars guy or like as big of a gamer, I guess, but like a lot of people, they're into that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that's how I kind of am. But I was like, say whatever you want about me, say whatever you want about like WWE, but I'm still gonna watch it. I don't really care what you have to say.
Of course, and the thing that a lot of people don't understand too, like it's such an adrenaline rush. Like I've been able to be on all sides of the wrestling ring. Like at one point, I was backstage at wrestling shows. I worked camera at wrestling shows. I was even in the ring in wrestling shows. I was in the audience as fans. So being able to experience a little bit of everything, like it's all the same feeling. You get that same amount of like adrenaline rush, and it's just so cool. It always puts a smile on my face, and I love seeing so many people into it now. And
Corey Graves actually came to Point Park twice last year. I know, I feel bad. He came twice last year. He actually was here the day after WrestleMania, the Monday after WrestleMania, which was like insane that he was there. And I got to talk to some, and there were so many people there that are wrestling fans. And it's like, my boy Joey Bova has been reaching out to Corey Graves. He actually edits his podcast now. Corey Graves follows him on Instagram. Former producer, Pioneer Sideline, shout out Bova. So like that's another thing that we talked about earlier, like bothering people and talking to them. Like he kept Corey Graves as like a connection. Now he edits his podcast, which is like really cool. Corey Graves was here, and like just such a cool guy. Like just he talked about like him and Carmella a little bit, like in their relationship, and just like how he is like he's a big Pittsburgh sports fan, and meeting like these people is like all like athletes are just normal people. It's just like that's just their job at that point. And Corey Graves like has a cool story about like his injury and everything, like how he ended up flashing out and becoming a commentator. Like that, just meeting him like definitely I think is when I kind of turned around and became an even bigger, starting to follow it more, because like meeting him, like he tells us stories about how he loves it and he doesn't care what anyone says about it. It's like that's why I got more back into it. I was getting back into it already, but that was still cool.
I remember I was at CCAC at the time when he came here, and I was looking at the website, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you couldn't wait another year? I was like, I'm going to be there in a couple months. And I've been bugging Bernie ever since. I'm like, Bernie, you better get Corey back. And he's like, here's Lou's information. So I've reached out to Corey a couple of times since, and he's a really good guy. And I hope he does come back here to Point Park, because like you said, there are so many wrestling fans out here that would just love to pick his brain, love to hear more about his story. And he has a really good story too. Yeah. Going from one of the best, most underrated wrestlers in NXT to one of the best commentators in my opinion.
Yeah, he's actually my favorite color commentator. Like him and Michael Cole, like Especially the Mania, like McAfee coming in and commentating. I like McAfee a lot, but I like genuinely believe that Corey Graves is the best color commentator in WWE for me personally.
No, I can agree with that. It feels like Michael Cole and Corey tells a better story. McAfee kind of gives more of the fan perspective. Like there's more funny moments with McAfee, no denying. But Corey's a pretty funny dude himself. He'll throw in those like sly remarks every now and then, and it just catches you off guard.
Yeah, no, I love Corey Graves. I mean, obviously it's slight bias calling him the best color commentator because I've met him before and I've gotten 2 pictures with him. It's like, but I generally think he's great entertainment wise, and that's another thing that if I was never at Point Park, I was gonna mention it, but I'm happy he came now. Like we talked about the wrestling, because that's another, like, I got to meet Corey Graves. Like, dude, like he only came to Point Park. It's not like he's traveling around Pittsburgh universities. He came to Point Park because we reached out to him. And it's like, that stuff is so cool to me, and he gave tips on people. Like, I mean, obviously you got your foot wet like in getting involved in wrestling, but a lot of people ask him questions about like how to do that, and he says like start with the indies. You know, like go to the indies and talk to people in the indies. Like commentate if you have to, or just do like work a camera. Like even if it's interning for free or like getting paid like crap money, like just start with the indies and just work your way up. Because Michael Cole was like not a cemented star, but he like, I mean, back in the day, he just worked his way up, and that's kind of how he got there. And eventually, you know, you never know who could be there, and you could do it, even if it's. And there's other big companies outside of WWE, like New Japan and AEW, yeah, TNA, all that stuff. Like, there's more out there, and getting involved in wrestling is like a career I didn't think about, but maybe I should try like indies and stuff like that, see what happens.
Oh, the indies are awesome, man. I intern with IWC Wrestling, and it's an indie company that's based out of Elizabeth, PA, and they travel. Sometimes they go to Washington Wild Things. They actually have a ballpark show in May. And then sometimes they go down to Wheeling, West Virginia. And I got to tell you, man, working with them for the last couple of months has just always been a dream of mine. Because I remember first show, it was Reloaded back in January. I'm sitting at one of the tables where they're doing like camera operating. And it's actually pretty similar to the broadcast we run at Point Park. Like the way everything's set up, the cameras, the switcher. It's all pretty similar to like a normal basketball or soccer broadcast. And I'm sitting there at the table. I have one of the headsets on, and I'm communicating with the camera operators doing I think I was doing graphics that show actually. And I just remember sitting there at the table. I looked to my right, and I see Elias standing right behind me.
Yeah.
And I looked to my left, and I see Scotty Too Hottie. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, is this a dream? I'm like, Elias is right next to me. And he taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, hey, when's my match, buddy? And I'm like, oh, my God, Elias is asking me when his match is. So I look down. I'm like, you're third on the show. And he gives me a fist bump. He's like, appreciate it. And then he just walks out and goes right, does his match. And I'm like, wow.
Elias or Ezekiel?
It was, I think it was Elijah at this show. He's Elijah on the Indies, but maybe it was Ezekiel. Who knows?
Yeah. It's Scotty Too Hottie. Oh man, he was with Rikishi back in the day.
Yeah, Rikishi, cool. Grandmaster. Scotty's actually the one who got me into wrestling.
That's cool.
Because my first ever show, I was 6 years old. I was sitting ringside at a Washington Wild Things. It was a Washington Wild Things. It was a little indie company. I think it was called like BTW or BRW or something. And he actually pulled me into the ring as a fan and let me throw out his headband and do the worm with him.
That's so good.
And from that moment on, I was like, okay, I'm hooked on this. Because I had a couple action figures at home, and I was playing with them, but I really didn't understand it. But next day, I watched Monday Night Raw, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked now. And I've been watching ever since. Yeah,
that's a really cool story. Like I think I just follow my brother kind of, and my dad was kind of big into it back in the day. My mom actually used to watch it back in the day, because her son, my brother, they used to watch it together back when it was like Hogan, who's the most overrated wrestler of all time. But that's a hot take.
No, facts. It is not a hot take. Hogan is awful. He's awful.
Just like dropping people, and he's so controversial outside of the ring too. And it's like, my mom used to love that stuff, and then so I kind of just followed along with it, and now it's like it just kind of stuck with me because I feel like wrestling is one of those things where it's like there's way less like you feel less pain like when like your favorite wrestler loses. It's not like when like the Cowboys lose for me. It's like, you know, like there's bigger storylines. It's like I can always watch it and like enjoy it. And it's like I don't go on my way to consistently watch Raw and SmackDown, but like when it's on, especially with Netflix. I have Netflix, so it's easier to watch Raw. So it's just one of those things that's so easy to get hooked on because there's so much like entertainment storyline to it, and you don't really have to worry about like, oh, my favorite wrestler just lost. Like it's not a good feeling, but it's not like as intense as sports. And the fan base for wrestling is also super like inviting, and they're always. I feel like every time I talk wrestling with like you or like anyone else, and like at Point Park, it's so much like safe. It just feels safe. Like it's like fine. Like I feel like a lot of people agree like with hot takes and stuff. It's not like as like intense as like watching sports.
No, not at all. It's definitely much more welcoming, and it's even like that with the wrestlers too. Like with all the wrestlers I've had a chance to interact with and engage with, they're all down to earth. At the end of the day, they're all humans, and just because they're jacked and they're muscular doesn't mean anything. At the end of the day, they all have families, they all have other jobs outside the business as well. They all have other passions, and I don't know, man. I feel like wrestling is like such a safe space for so many people, and so many people here at Point Park will probably agree with that.
Yeah. Also, a lot of athletes are divas about like contracts and stuff. You don't really hear like contract controversy in WWE. I know there's some, obviously. Like at the end of the day, it's a business and that's your job, but there's a lot less of that, and it's like there's not like Twitter fights between like DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. It's it's a lot safer. I feel like to watch WWE. It's like how you said like girls make fun of you for it. It's like whatever. Like
it's like whatever.
If you can accept the fact that people like are gonna hate you for what, like people are gonna like hate that WWE, because I have family that like doesn't get that I watch it. And I'm just like, my brother, who I have such a great relationship with, he's big on WWE as well, and we also like esport, like Call of Duty esports, but so that's a good way we keep our relationship. But WWE we talk about all the time. I'm sure he's like texting me about it right now.
Yeah, no, WWE is most certainly that too. And the thing is with the wrestlers too, man. Like last show, it was it last show or the show before? I don't remember. One of the shows I worked recently, Tommy Dreamer was just sitting there on his phone. I don't know what he was doing.
ECW legend.
ECW legend. He's just sitting there on his phone. And I've seen Tommy at a couple shows, but I never had a chance to actually speak with him. Yeah. So I was like, you know what's good? I'm going to go up to Tommy Dreamer just to get some advice from him. So I went up, I shook his hand, I introduced myself, and he gave me all the time in the world. He put his phone right back in his pocket, stood right up, crossed his arms, and listened to every single thing I had to tell him.
That's sick.
And the thing is, like, what other athlete do you think would do that? Do you think, like, I'm not going to name any names, but an NFL player walking through the tunnel, do you think they're going to stop and give you that same attention that wrestlers would? I don't think so.
For the most part, they don't, and that's like they're so ordinary. It's like so like weird, like because like you watch them and you're like, oh my god, like that guy's so cool. But like at the end of the day, like all athletes are normal people. They just have a job. But I feel like there is more diva stuff that goes on with like other professional sports.
Of course. I want to end off today's episode having a little fun, if that's okay with you.
Yes. No, let's do it.
So here on Two Jagoffs, we do about 2 episodes a week. We usually have a weekly episode on Thursdays, and then we do like a game show or an interview or something fun on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a game that is actually a fan favorite here on Two Jagoffs.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Lucas is not here to help me, but some of the questions he helped me prepare as well.
Okay.
And we're going to play STBC, which is start, trade, bench, or cut. So I'm going to give you 4 things, and you have to either start it, trade it, bench it, or cut it.
Let's do it. That sounds fun.
Pretty self-explanatory. I got 1 sports-related question and 1 non-sports. Which one do you want first?
Let's start with the sports, since we've been on sports. Let's start with that.
Okay, this is a tough one. Me and Lucas came up with this one earlier. So first, Jason Tatum.
Okay.
Second, Luka Doncic. Anthony Edwards. John Morant.
Okay, I'm going to start, bench, trade, cut. I'm going to cut John Morant. That's to me the first thing I'm going to do, only because I think I think there's a chance that like the Grizzlies like go far, but there's a real argument that he's not the best player on his team because Jaren Jackson Jr. is really good. So I'm going to cut John Morant, I think. Oh gosh,
tough one.
Yeah, this one's hard. I think I'm going to. Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic. I think I'm going to start Luka, although his inefficiency on the Lakers has been a little worse, but he's coming off of an injury. But I mean, you look at what he's done healthy, like top 5 player in the league, top 2 guard in the league. I mean, he just had 50 points, literally. Like I'm pretty sure yesterday he just had like 50 points. So I'm gonna start Luka, I think. I hate Jason Tatum, but I'm going to bench him because winning is the most important thing in sports, and he's won a ring. Anthony Edwards hasn't won hasn't won anything, so I'm going to trade Anthony Edwards. He's also younger than Tatum, so he has good trade value. So I think I'm going to trade him and bench Tatum. Although I think Anthony Edwards is probably a better player than Tatum as like a pure scorer, but Anthony Edwards isn't like an MVP candidate. Neither of them are. I think I'm going to start Luka, bench Tatum, trade Anthony Edwards, and cut John Morant.
That's a good list. Mine was actually pretty similar to yours. I had everything except for start and bench. I had Luka and Tatum flip-flop. And the main reason why was I seen Tatum on the grandest stage. I seen Tatum in a championship game before. And like you mentioned, he has a ring. I know a lot of people like have the debate whether or not Jaylen Brown contributed more, whether or not Jason Tatum did. What about defense? You can't ignore their bench that they had as well. But I seen Tatum. When I seen Luka on that stage, it was not a similar result. So I keep Luka on my bench. I start Tatum. You brought up a great point with Anthony Edwards. I mean, he's younger, but he brings that trade value. Yeah. Which is why I would trade him away. And John Morant, I lean more towards the off the court issues.
I agree.
I feel like the off the court issues really plays into John Morant's career. And I think he's an incredible basketball player. Very athletic, highly talented. But the thing is with him, it's just the off the court issues. And pointing the gun and everything. Like
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. I feel like it's pettiness. I feel like it's immature. It's really
Yeah, I think especially because he got like a warning and then they like suspend him again because he wants to do it again. It's like you were already told not to do it. Don't do it. Whether like I'm okay with you like representing what you like or whatever. I have a problem with when like you're warned not to do it and you do it again. Like because like that's your job at the end of the day. And I feel like people should take their job serious, and I feel like he isn't taking it serious.
No, I 100% agree. And I mean, when you're being paid millions upon millions of dollars to do what you love, you would think you wouldn't do something like that.
I mean, if I was told not to do something, if I was an NBA player, if I was making $10 million to play basketball, to do something I love, I would definitely not if I was warned.
I would too. Well, let's do the non-sports related one. This one's a fun one. So
I'm excited.
first up, pasta.
Okay.
Pizza.
Got the Italian horn. We're 2 Italian foods. I'm Italian here. So
You're
this
Italian?
This is a good start. 2 Italian foods.
We'll change it from 2 Jagoffs to 2 Italians for today because I'm
Okay.
also Italian.
Fire. Let's do it.
All right, we got pasta, pizza, chicken, and steak.
Okay. My gosh, this one's rough.
Roughest question of the day.
if I yeah, probably honestly, because if I cut pasta, I might get disowned, and I feel like okay, I'm going to cut pasta because
You're not Italian anymore.
yeah, apparently not. I might not be because there are a lot of people, especially Olive Garden specifically, where pasta is not good. And I think that some people can make I feel like elevating pasta is like more. I feel like elevating pasta makes it elite, but like just plain pasta, like if you don't elevate it, it's not as good as the other 3.
So what you mean by elevate? You mean like put like sauce and cheese
like make like a great gourmet like pesto, or make it like a nice homemade wine sauce, like whatever, like all that stuff is like if you could elevate pasta to the next level, like adding extra ingredients, like chef it up, like Gordon Ramsay pasta, I'm sure it's probably one of my favorite foods, but there's so many people that mess it up and make it like, I mentioned Olive Garden. I hope Olive Garden workers are watching this. The pasta sucks, and I will stand on that. As an Italian, I think Olive Garden is so mid, and I can't stand it. I like the salad, though.
You and me both.
Yeah, you don't like Olive Garden either?
I mean, I like Olive Garden, but like nothing beats homemade pasta.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
At all.
I feel like I can make better pasta than it. I'm going to look at chicken and steak here. I think I'm going to chicken. You could do a lot with, but a medium rare steak is so good. I'm going to start pizza because pizza is always good, and there is literally like. Even bad pizzas are still good, and you can eat pizza whenever you want. You know, like after a night out, there's a pizza shop open at 2 a.m. Whatever, you can order a pizza and you can eat it. Like you can go and grab a slice, and you're always going to enjoy it. So I think I'm gonna start pizza. And although I think a great steak, I'm gonna bench steak because I think a great steak is like the best food for me. Probably, I think that's my favorite food. A lot of times is like a great steak is so untouchable. But pizza is always good. It's also more affordable too. I'm looking at like value here. I'm really treating this like I'm building like a team right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the
like I'm managing a team.
I like the analogies.
I'm gonna trade chicken because chicken you kind of have to elevate for it to be great, but you could do a lot. You could do so much with it. It's like a blank canvas that you could just like create into whatever, like chicken parmesan or.
You're taking a step further. Okay.
Yeah,
like
whatever
that.
you want with it, but it depends what you do with the chicken. That's why I'm trading it because I might trade it to a team that could do more with it. You know.
You never know what they could do with chicken. I mean, there's so many different places out there that literally has chicken in the name.
Yeah.
How many
right.
can you say about steak? Well, actually, steak and shake.
Yeah.
Never mind. I take that back.
Just steak. What's it? Roots, Chris? Steakhouse. That's right here.
Yeah, Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on the pizza part. I have starting pizza because I mean, like you can go anytime, any place.
Yeah.
Pizza's always reliable. Pizza's always there
agree.
for you. There's a pizza place back at home in Carnegie called Sunset Pizza. It's a Turkish pizza place.
Yeah.
And the owners are amazing. They always give me discounts on everything just because I'm there at least once a week. And they have this pizza that they started calling the Austin pizza just because of how much I get it.
Yeah.
I kind of modified it my own way. It's not actually on the menu. They just say it like around me. It's this bacon ranch chicken pizza. So it has chicken, bacon, ranch, pepperoni, and like 3 different cheeses on it.
Sounds great.
It's an amazing pizza. And I always get an extra large, and I just love pizza. And pasta, I can't not bench. I can't trade it or cut it, or else I will be disowned.
Yeah.
And there's so many different variations of pasta. You could do spaghetti. You can do elbows. You can do rigatoni. There's so many different variations of it. It's unique. So I'll put pasta on the bench. Chicken, I'm gonna cut. I do like chicken, but out of the 4, this would probably be the one that I would lean least towards.
Yeah.
It's not as reliable. I'm not as into it as much. I mean, you can always go for some chicken tenders and ranch, like chicken tenders, ranch, and French fries. It comes in clutch anytime. And then steak. trade it away. It has some value.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, hot wings are my favorite food. That's why I was considering like starting chicken because hot wings are my favorite food. But I was thinking more like, I was just thinking of the fact that like if it's pizza versus wings, you get a little messy when eating the wings, like I don't know, but yeah, hot wings are my favorite food. I'll say here, and that's a fun fact about me.
Hot wings are your favorite.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food? Oh, that's a tough one.
I know I bounce between all the time.
Are we talking just like food in general? Or are we talking like main course meal foods?
Okay, that's why this is a weird question because hot wings are like my favorite food, but like I would probably like lean like going a medium or steak. Like it depends on where I'm eating it, I guess. So I would say like just favorite food in general, like you're walking around and you have no idea what to eat and you're like, yes, that. Like,
would you consider French fries up there?
I would say that French fries is a great answer.
Okay, I would
they're
say
always good.
Loaded French fries though. It has to be loaded with bacon and cheese. That's my go-to.
I worked at a restaurant this summer and I'm starting to like lean baked potatoes more than French fries.
Okay.
Like because loaded baked potatoes are great, but I'm getting hungry, man.
I'm getting hungry too. We're gonna grab something after this.
Yeah.
But no, I would probably say French fries is my go-to. Pasta's another one because again the Italian roots come out of me.
Yeah.
I'm half Irish, half Italian, so it's either potatoes or pasta. It just depends on the day. It depends on what I'm feeling. But no, French fries is my go-to. A good burger though always sits well with me as well.
I like
nice
that.
bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah, no, I don't like his burgers as much as like the average American, but I definitely think that burgers is a good answer.
Would you say you're more of a burger guy or a dog guy?
Oh, definitely. Burgers are definitely better than hot dogs, but I don't know why. I kind of like I worked a hot dog stand when I was 15 years old, like at a marketplace. I used to just eat them all the time. So it was a soft spot for me, but definitely I think burgers are better for sure. I feel like as a kid, you like cut up hot dogs and stuff, but when you're an adult, I feel like you have to say burger.
Did you ever put the hot dogs in like your baked beans during like the 4th of July or any kind of cookouts or anything? Because my mom, she would make these really good baked beans. And she would like take the hot dogs, cut them up in little mini slices, and mix them together with the baked beans.
I honestly don't remember ever doing that way. I think we just always had the hot dogs separate. Like
always had the hot dogs separate.
Grill some hot dogs, grill some burgers, some pasta salad, some potato salad, whatever. And that would be it. Some mac and cheese sometimes, some chicken that she would make on the grill, like whatever it is. But
now you said mac and cheese. That's another one I might have to put in there. I love mac and cheese. Like it has to be homemade. I'm not a fan of the Kraft mac and cheese, but homemade mac and cheese always slaps.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that. Oh man, like food is great. Rating food, like I remember recently just like randomly asking my roommates like, what are your top 5 fast food restaurants? And just like going through that whole debate. It's like that's why it's fun you bring up those questions at the end because like it really always stirs up a conversation. Like you could just talk about food for hours.
It does. No, I mean, the best part of my interview with Bill Hillgrove was us talking about penne pasta and vodka sauce.
Yeah.
That was probably the best part of that interview. But since you mentioned fast foods, I guess may as well do that. What is your top 5 go-to fast foods?
Okay.
I think that's a good way to end this off.
I would say I'm stuck. I would say Chipotle because it's not bad for you and it's post-gym Chipotle, if you know, is just absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to say this. It gets a lot of hate. McDonald's is so good, and it's always good every single time. You DoorDash it, the fries are cold. I'm still going to eat every single one of those fries. They have so many options that you can eat. They have breakfast that's good, and they have dollar drinks. You can get a little Diet Pepsi, little Coke, whatever for $1, whatever you want. So I'm going to go McDonald's as well. I think McDonald's is probably my one because it's just always good. I don't eat it that much anymore, but it's always good for me. And then I think fast food Chinese would be my third, like Panda Express or anything like that. If I see a drive-through with Chinese food, I'm all over it every single time. There's a Chinatown Inn down the road, which I love going there as well. And then Chick-fil-A, I love me a good Chick-fil-A. I love chicken, spicy chicken sandwich. Same with Popeyes as well. I would say those are my top 5 probably. Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Chipotle, and Chinese fast food.
No Wendy's, no Burger King,
no
Arby's.
Wait. Let me get rid of Popeyes. Or let me get rid of Chick-fil-A because Popeyes is better than Chick-fil-A. And then let me put Wendy's up there because a biggie bag for $5 you can't beat.
I also like how Wendy's recently added the different sauce variations with the chicken. Like you can get like the garlic parm chicken, you can get like the honey barbecue, the spicy ones. Yeah.
The saucy nugs.
That's what it's called, saucy nugs. Yeah. I would probably say McDonald's is my number 1, and I'm not really a big fast food person, but like it's open whenever it's open. Like there's a 24/7 McDonald's right by where I live, and it's always reliable, especially if I have a late night or if I'm just coming home. I don't know if you're gonna count this as fast food or not because it's more of a gas station, but we're gonna count Sheetz as one.
I'll give you Sheetz. Honestly,
you'll give me Sheetz. I'll probably put Sheetz number 2.
Yeah.
Chipotle 3. Wendy's 4.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's tough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big Arby's fan. I do like Arby's.
I actually also love Arby's. I think they're overpriced, and that's why I can't put them top 5. But
That's fair.
But I used to. So I talked about how I did dental in high school. Me and my friend, we would have to travel from one school to the other, and he did medical. I did dental. My brother, and we would stop at Arby's and get this buffalo. It was like this jalapeno bacon chicken ranch wrap. We would get that almost every single day for lunch, and I would demolish it every time.
That sounds fire. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds fire.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Matt, it was an absolute pleasure.
No, I'm so happy I came on today. I appreciate you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And before we end off today's episode, was there any, I guess, social media platforms, maybe YouTube channels, any kind of pages you wanted to shout out for our listeners?
Subscribe to Cavs Digest if you're a Cavs fan, definitely. Even if you're not, and you're gonna see one of the other Cavs creators right now. But I'm gonna start getting on there and creating some Cavs content. So subscribe to Cavs Digest. If you want to follow my journey or everything, I recommend connecting with me on LinkedIn. I believe my LinkedIn is just Matthew Matthew Palange Palange. Talk to me on LinkedIn. I'm on there actually a lot, so please go there as well. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can too, Matt Palange. I love interacting with people on Instagram, so.
Hell yeah. Well, Matt, appreciate you
Awesome.
so much
Thank
for coming
you,
on, man.
so much.
It was absolute honor having you here. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you stay tuned for this week's episode. My dad and Lucas will be returning as we cover the Stanley Cup playoffs and NBA playoffs. Until next time here on 2 Jagoffs, we will see you in the next one. Peace.